Some may see the writings on the wall. See the writings on the wall. Yeah, Cucks. It's your boy the Hater up in this piece. I just sang you some Jeff Hardy, so deal with it. This video is going to be almost a self-congratulatory video for myself. I think I deserve it. I think after 5 years almost, the Hater almost turns 5. Cuckolds, get ready for that. Maybe I'll do a big celebration. Anyways, the point is, the Hater is going to say it like it is. As usual, the Hater was right? And I don't want to make this video about congratulating myself on being right because, quite frankly, who gives a shit, right? But I want to argue in this video that the fact that I was right shows that other people were wrong. Now, I don't care if the people in my video comments were wrong because they have no influence on the WWE. But it shows that the people that do have influence fundamentally have forgotten what wrestling is. Somewhere down the line, Triple H turned into Paul Levesque and he started watching ROH DVDs and he got bamboozled. He became a mark. He stopped understanding how wrestling works under Vince McMahon and he started developing his own ideas of what is good and what is bad wrestling, right? And when I say his ideas, I mean he developed the ideas of Dave Meltzer, right? Now, I should say this. I don't know Triple H personally, so I'm sure there's other pressures, right? Shareholder pressure, corporate pressure. Maybe his hands are more tied than we think. But I don't care because he presents himself as the guy who's in charge now, right? The new era, the Paul Levesque era. Well, so far, the Paul Levesque era, especially if you count all the garbage that he put out in NXT, has been a colossal failure. During SummerSlam, there was a point where Pat McAfee said, not everyone who is drafted in the first round becomes a superstar. He was saying this in relation to the fact that there are NXT jobbers that come out of NXT that fail, right? And now, Sami Zayn is one of the NXT success stories, even though he hasn't done anything impressive, really. Like, what has he done? You know, he's won the Intercontinental Championship 4 times or so, right? So has Kofi Kingston, you know what I mean? He didn't go to NXT. So, you know, a lot of people that go to NXT just end up being colossal jobbers, right? And this is a problem that can be attributed only to Triple H because NXT is his foray, right? And now you can also attribute it to Shawn Michaels. Let's go down the line of things that I've been right about, right? That are going to prove that the people in charge don't know what they're doing anymore. They just don't know. They're just throwing fucking shit at the wall and hoping it sticks, right? First of all, we've got all the NXT signings that are made by Triple H. Here are some notable ones. Bronson Reed, Dijakovic, fucking Keith Lee, who they ruined completely. Karrion Kross, right? Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, and Gunther, which I don't even know if Triple H did that because he was an NXT UK guy. But fine, Gunther is now the world champion, so we can say that he's had a successful career. I mean, it would be disingenuous to say otherwise, right? Now, everybody else nearly, right? Kevin Owens, fucking Sami Zayn, Finn Balor is a great example, honestly. Hideo Itami, Sin Cara, like like Andrade, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin. It's like 99 for Tyler Breeze, Fandango, fucking The Ascension. It's like 99% of the NXT people do nothing. They get paid and they don't draw one single solitary dime. And this is all on Triple H. So here's the general way it works, right? WWE is operated by Vince. Triple H had the reins on NXT. Eventually, it's time to call up NXT guys. They call up Nakamura. They call up Sami Zayn. Bobby Roode. The list goes on and on, right? Then Vince McMahon says, oh, this is what we have in NXT? Well, I don't like Keith Lee. Keith Lee was actually pretty decent because he was a big guy that could do crazy-ass moves. But he was kind of boring, right? I used to like him for a little bit. I have the same relationship with Keith Lee that I have with Gunther in terms of my fandom, right? I liked him for a little bit, then I'm like, oh, wait a second, these guys suck ass, you know? So Keith Lee came, and Vince McMahon, who has obviously a better eye for talent than Triple H, and obviously a better eye than me and everybody else, he's like, oh, this guy sucks. He's never going to make me any money. Now, his career options are as follows. He gets fired, or he gets rebranded as the Bearcat Keith Lee, right? So Bearcat it was. Bobby Roode, a lot of these other people that came through, they got nothing out of it, right? Nothing. Eric Young, some of these are good wrestlers. Samoa Joe, like there's a lot of good guys, but they were either mishandled or they were signed when they were like in their mid-30s, and Vince McMahon likes them young. He's like, oh, you know, he might think like Bobby Roode is a great talent, right? Like if we had Bobby Roode when he was 23, he could have been a megastar. He could have been one of the biggest wrestling names of all time because Bobby Roode has it all. He can talk on the mic. He can obviously wrestle. He's good looking. He's got an incredible physique, right? He's like a wrestling purist in the sense that he does like no botches, no nothing, like perfect, right? But he's too old, right? So it's like, what are we going to do? It's time for Braun Strowman to, you know, come in. He needs to squash somebody. Bobby Roode is available. Power slam, 1, 2, 3. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, all of these people, the majority of them, I knew were going to fail. Some of them I didn't want them to fail. Like I didn't want Eric Young to fail. You know, I love Eric Young. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he failed, right? Same with Bobby Roode. But then there's the other ones where like everyone else saw something in them, right? And we can go through this because I see this comment a lot in my videos. This ain't it, bro. Like the first time I saw it really was Karrion Kross. And how did that turn out? He's a fucking jobber. Just like I said he would be day one, you know? And let's be real. Everything that I said about Karrion Kross was 100% true, right? And I like that video a lot, and I bring it up a lot because it represents a tonal shift of the hater, right? That's when I was like, oh, it's time to call things as I see them, you know what I mean? I'm not going to just like say things that like people might agree with or disagree with, but I'm just going to say it like I see it, right? That was always kind of the intention, but sometimes you get caught up in your own shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, there was a point where like I wanted to grow to 1,000, and I didn't want to step on any toes, right? Technical Worker Productions, that's the video that they picked on me on. They're like, oh, this guy copied us. Like, I'd copy those two fucking losers, you know what I mean? And they got butthurt because they like Karrion Kross, and I don't, you know what I mean? So, look how that worked out. In a few months, I'll have surpassed their monkey asses, and Karrion Kross is a jobber. Wow, who could have seen that coming? I could, motherfucks! I saw it coming all along! Now, with that being said, let's move on to some other examples. Bronson Reed, who I'm starting to like a little bit, right? He gets signed. He's in NXT. He's a mid-carder. He gets put in the main roster, gets fired immediately, basically. Then gets signed again by Triple H, only to be a jobber, right? Only to be a jobber. Same thing as Karrion Kross. We've got countless examples of clear indicators that the people in charge don't know what they're doing, right? The latest one is Cucky Rhodes. You know, the fans are going to turn on him too any minute now. I done told you guys, any minute now, that shit's going to hit the fan. Gunther, it's only a matter of time before he gets unironically booed. You know, it's only a matter of time before he gets exposed as being the boring, zero-drawing guy ever, right? Like, maybe people won't shit on him, but they'll treat him like they do Nakamura now, right? Like, nobody cares about Nakamura at all anymore. Like, if Nakamura gets released, maybe one fan will be like, they really dropped the ball on him, right? But it goes back to some of the things that I've been talking about, right? And all of this can be explained by one hater axiom, by one thing that I've been saying that, in my opinion, merits its own video, but I'm going to bring it up here first, right? Nobody that gets signed from NXT has the capacity to be exciting and to electrify the audience, right? I'm not talking about their theme song. I'm talking about their personality and their mic skills. Let's take Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes has certain things going for him. First of all, he's incredibly athletic, and that can only help. It's never going to be a negative that you are extremely athletic in wrestling, right? He's a good-looking kid, right? But that's where it stops. Everything else with this guy is non-existent. He has no charisma, right? He cannot cut an electrifying good promo where the fans are going to listen. Maybe in NXT because there's 30 people, right? And the same can be attributed to Trick Williams, except he's not as good looking as Carmelo. But aside from that, it's like Trick Williams, this guy has no charisma whatsoever, right? Him coming out and slapping people's hands while they chant, whoop that Trick, like Booker T got him over. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't do that himself. Like, Booker T, someone who is charismatic, had to, as an announcer, motherfucks, had to get over this jobber. And people are like, this guy reminds you of Booker T. No, he doesn't. It's only because Booker T put him over that you're like, oh, this is very cool. No, motherfucks, he's not cool at all. He's a dork. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to him or Carmelo or Andrade or Bronson Reed or anybody, you know, because I understand there are people that are trying to do their jobs, but it's not their fault, right? The WWE just doesn't have anybody, basically, that can cut an electrifying promo. The only exceptions, right, and I hate to say it, are Paul Heyman, but he doesn't do this anymore, right? Now he just cuts the same promos he's been cutting for the last 10 years. He switches the words around a little bit, and instead of saying Brock Lesnar, he says Roman Reigns and Tribal Chief, same fucking promo, right? And The Miz. The Miz is the only man or woman in this company that has the capacity to cut an electrifying promo. The close second is LA Knight, yeah, but he's not there yet. Like, he's not on the same level as The Miz, right? And I think anybody that's honest knows this. Like, you know that when Seth Rollins comes out, he's going to cut a nasally promo. It's going to bore everyone to death. He's not exciting. Like, then don't get me started on the Nakamuras of the world, right? Who don't even speak English. Like, imagine this, motherfucks. Imagine that it was time to save the show. Some shit just went down, and Vince McMahon, or in this case Triple H, says to Nakamura or to Andrade, go out there, cut an incredible, impassionate promo. They cannot do this, motherfucks. They do not have this basic skill that is a requirement to being a wrestler. They don't have it in them. Don't you understand? They don't have it in them. Seth Rollins doesn't have it in him. Gunther doesn't have it in him either. You see what I'm saying? These people don't have it. Like, I'll give you a great example, right? In a random ass TNA pay-per-view from back in the day, there was some sort of multi-man cage match, right? It was supposed to be Samoa Joe and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, right? Against 3 other people that were like the bad guys. Long story short, Scott Hall, no shows, right? He was probably drunk somewhere or something like that. This was when he had big problems, right? Kevin Nash shows up and Samoa Joe gets the mic, and this is the best promo Samoa Joe ever cut, because it was an impassioned promo about how people like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall let down everybody, right? And then the story goes that like Kevin Nash like got in his face and slapped him in the face or something, right? Because, you know, Kevin Nash is a real man at the end of the day. But the point is he cut this incredible promo and he said, Eric Young, get your ass out here. And Eric Young had just had like a match earlier, but they needed 2 men now, right? Samoa Joe to cut the promo to make the point go forward, and they needed another guy, Eric Young, to fill in the gap. You need someone to fucking carry the load. Nobody in WWE can do this. Seth Rollins is going to come out dressed as a woman and cut a boring-ass promo. Do you notice how nobody cheers anything he says ever? They only cheer his theme song. Cocky Rhodes is the same thing. He's got some promo skills, but he can't electrify. He can make people sad. He can make people feel like they're losers. He's good at that because that's his whole shtick. Oh, I'm a loser, but even losers win sometimes. That's like the entire Cody Rhodes character. So the idea is that we need people that can do this basic skill, right? Like in the Attitude Era, and we see this with remnants of the people from the Attitude Era, right? So a lot of people point to the Mark Henry promo, that Mark Henry cut the promo where he, like, you know, in the pink suit where he pretended to retire, right? And people realize, oh, holy shit, Mark Henry can cut a promo. Yeah. You don't think Vince McMahon knew that? Of course he did. But there was no time for Mark Henry to cut a promo because he came up with people like, you know, Stone Cold and The Rock and even Triple H and Jericho, right? Where it's like, oh, we're going to have these guys cut the promo because they're 100 times better, right? Bully Ray, one of the best promos of all time, right? Bully Ray is like one of the best guys on the mic ever, right? Never got the chance because he was there with Jericho and, you know, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, people that were amazing at promos. Amazing, right? Now, nobody, like, forget about being as good as Bully Ray or Mark Henry. Nobody's as good as, like, Val Venus. Like, Val Venus, he can come out there, he has the presence, he says, hello, ladies, and everyone loses their minds, right? And even though you know he's going to make a joke, a sexual joke, people are listening because he has presence. He has silent charisma. Seth Rollins has no charisma, right? CM Punk, motherfucks, oh, look at this. I'm going to say it like it is one more time. CM Punk is not charismatic. Right? I keep hearing this guy's charismatic. No, he's not. He just comes out there, cuts dry-ass promos, right? The pipe bomb, yeah, that was like obviously a good promo, but think about what you have to do to make him exciting. You have to create a worked shoot so that people listen to this asshole, right? If he was charismatic, he would have gotten the Straight Edge Society over, and he didn't. That shit was a colossal failure, right? Did you ever see The Rock fail? You know? The Rock can come back and invent a new character, the final boss, and his promos are obviously better than anything CM Punk's ever cut. The final boss is like one of the best heel characters ever already, even though he was around for like 2 weeks, you know? So that's what I'm saying. WWE doesn't hire people that can do anything anymore. They just hire these out of shit. I don't even know what the criteria is. Like Bronson Reed. Like, dude, you're fucking fat, right? You're fat and you do a Samoan moveset. We've got 10 of you. Can you cut a promo? No, you can't. Beat it, Jabron. And maybe he can. Maybe he needs a chance. I don't know. But he hasn't gotten a chance, so I'm going to assume that he can't, right? There's so many wrestlers in NXT that have zero capacity to cut a promo. Trick Williams is one. Carmelo, he's not a zero, but he's never going to be this electrifying force. He can cut a promo to the level of like Kofi Kingston. You know what I mean? To the level of like Dolph Ziggler, right? These boring ass promos where Dolph Ziggler's cut promos his whole career and he has like one good promo. Compare that to The Miz, where every promo lands, right? Every promo is good. And there's other people, right? You don't have to be a great promo to be a megastar, right? But if you are not good at a promo, you are going to need either one of two things. You don't need to be extremely special, right? You need to be like an Undertaker level of special, right? You need to be like I don't know, like I can't even think of another example. That's how rare this is, right? An Undertaker level of special, a Kane level of special, right? Like a Big Show level of special. You need to be at least that. And that's obviously a very, very high bar, right? Or a Great Khali. You need to have something extraordinary about you. Or you need to be not, exceptionally special, but you need to be a 10 out of 10 in all the other requirements. Your promo skills can be like a 4 out of 10 if everything else is a 10 out of 10. A great example would be Randy Orton, right? He's a 10 out of 10 in his appearance. He's a good-looking guy. He's always been in great shape, right? He's a good actor, relatively speaking. He has a fun finisher. You know what I mean? He's booked well, right? But he's got every gift that someone can be given, except for promos, right? And that's why Randy Orton is not John Cena. That's why Randy Orton is not The Rock, because John Cena and The Rock have all those gifts, and they can cut a great promo. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Unless you're Brock Lesnar, and you're this otherworldly force, where it's like, you can't deny that this guy's amazing. You don't need to say anything at all. Or a Goldberg, right? Unless you have that aura, like a Batista, right? You're never going to be a huge star. And everything I just said, nobody in NXT has the presence of Brock Lesnar or Batista or Undertaker or Kane. None of them, motherfuckers. 0%. Like, people are like, Obafemi is going to be great. Obafemi is, I enjoy Obafemi, but there's no reason to think that Obafemi is going to have a better career than Keith Lee or Dijakovic. There's no reason at all to think this. Zero reason. Or Omos. Or any of these other boring-ass big guys. Right? I mean, I thought Dijakovic and Keith Lee should have done better, but that's what happened, motherfuckers. Right? Why would Mace or Mace have a worse career than Obafemi? For what reason? Right? For what reason? It's not like Obafemi is like this exceptionally good-looking guy. He's just a big Nigerian or whatever the fuck he is. He's strong. He does cool moves, I'd like to see him do well, but this has Akam and Razor written all over it. You know what I mean? This is not going to be this next big thing. And I think that either nobody in WWE understands what I'm saying, or they're just ignoring it and they just don't give a shit. That's another possible explanation, right? Because it's like, what, do we stop making charismatic people? You know what I mean? We still have charismatic people elsewhere. We still have, like, Conor McGregor still exists, right? Well, is he the only one? Tyson Fury's charismatic. And they don't even need to be because they're actual fighters, right? You can find charismatic people, right? But the problem is, they're not looking for charismatic people. They're looking for Obafemi, who was a lineman in, like, some throwaway college, he had some throwaway college football career, didn't make it to the pros, right? Trick Williams, he had a throwaway career, didn't make it to the pros. Just a bunch of people that didn't make it in the sport that they want to be in, right? And which is fine, because that's what wrestling's for, right? But at the very least, all of those people, pick the ones that are charismatic, cucks. That's all it takes, you know what I mean? Reward charisma, and more importantly, reward mic skills. Because otherwise, we're going to be in a whole lot of shit.